Anyway, if you have some questions, don't hesitate to type in your questions, or you can speak on your microphone. Okay, so let's have this example. A 3-kilogram object undergoes an acceleration given by. So we are given the acceleration is 2I hat plus 5J hat meters per second squared. So it's a two-dimensional. Find the resultant force acting on the object, and B, the magnitude of the resultant force. Okay, so what's our formula? Di ba net force is equal to mass times the acceleration. So it's letter A. So what's our net force or the resultant force? So mass is 3. 3 times 2I plus 5J. So that the resultant force is equal to 6I hat plus 15J hat newtons. So this is our answer. Okay. In letter B, what's the magnitude of this force? But the magnitude of the force is by Pythagorean theorem. So that's the square root of 6 squared plus 15 squared. So the net force magnitude is equal to, I don't have my calculator. 6 squared plus 15 squared. Square root. So it's 16.16 newtons. Okay. Okay, so the answer is that one. Okay? May question? Di ba madali lang? Madali lang yan. So let's have our second example. Ayan. Okay, a toy rocket engine is securely fastened to a large puck that can glide with negligible friction over a horizontal surface, taken as the X and Y plane. The 4-kilogram puck has a velocity of 3I meter per second at 1 instant. 8 seconds later, its velocity is 8I plus 10J meters per second. Assuming that the rocket engine exerts a constant horizontal force, find A, the component of the force, and B, its magnitude. Okay, so ano ba yung given natin? So we're given the mass. Mass is 4 kilograms. And then the initial velocity is 3I hat meters per second. And then yung final velocity natin ay 8I plus 10J meters per second for the time of 8 seconds. Ayan. So tinatanong ay, ano ang letter A? Ano ang force applied? Di ba ang force is equal to MA? To get the force, we have the mass, which is 4 kilograms. So kailangan natin ng acceleration. So that means yung acceleration, kukunin natin siya sa kinematics natin. Okay? So sa kinematics, anong formula ang gagamitin natin dito to get acceleration? Okay. So yung V final is equal to V initial plus AT. Ayan. So A is equal to V final minus V initial over T. So acceleration natin ay V final is 8I plus 10J minus 3I all over 8. Tama ako? 8 seconds. So what's our acceleration? So acceleration is 5I hat plus 10J hat or all over 8. So A is equal to 5 divided by 8. 0.625I hat plus 10 over 8, 1.25 j hat meters per second squared. So this is our acceleration. And then after we found the acceleration, we will just apply it dun sa ating formula. So therefore, the net force is equal to the mass, which is 4, times 0.625 I hat plus 1.25 j hat. Okay, so what's our net force? The components. It's 0.625 times 4. So that's a 2.5 I hat plus 5 j hat newtons. Ayan. Okay, so this is our f of x, and then this is our f of y. May question? So sa problem ito, we're given the initial and the final velocities, and then we're given the time on how the velocity has reached 8i plus 10j. But we're talking of the force applied, so that means we need the acceleration to apply to the second law. So we got the acceleration through kinematics formula. So this is the formula we use. And then after getting the acceleration, so we apply that to the second law, and then we multiply the acceleration by 4 to get the net force applied to the toy rocket engine. Ayan. So that means that the components are 2.54 f of x and then 5 for f of y. Okay, ang tanong sa B, ano yung kanyang magnitude? Okay, magnitude is equal to the square root of 2.5 squared plus 5 squared. So what's the magnitude of the force? It's 5.59 newtons. Don't forget the unit. Ayan. Nagma-minus ako pag walang mga unit. Okay? Question? May question ba? Mahirap ba? So, wala. Wala namang question. Sige. Okay, kung wala kayong question, so let's proceed to our next example. Okay. An electron of mass 9.11 times 10 raised to negative 31 has an initial speed of 3 times 10 to the 5 meters per second in a straight line, and its speed increases to 7 times 10 to the 5 meters per second in a distance of 5 centimeters. Assuming its acceleration is constant, determine the magnitude of the force exerted on the electron, and B, compare this force with the weight of the electron, which we ignored. Okay. Okay, so let's draw the figure first. So we have the electron. So it's given an initial speed of 3 times 10 raised to 5 meters per second. Okay, after traveling 5 centimeters, its velocity, its speed has become 7 times 10 raised to 5 meters per second. Ayan. Okay, if the mass of the electron is equal to 9.11 times 10 raised to negative 31 kilograms, what is the magnitude of the force? So letter A. So what is the force? Ayan. Okay, so the force is the same as the, ayan, so second law. Force is equal to ma. So that means acceleration is constant, so we can apply kinematic formulas. So we're given the initial, final. How about the So we also given the displacement. So what formula we're going to use? So we'll be using V final squared is equal to V initial squared plus 2A delta x. Ayan. So ang A natin ay V final squared minus V initial squared over 2 delta x. So acceleration is quantity. 7 times 10 raised to 5 squared minus 3 times 10 raised to 5 squared all over 2 times class. This is in centimeters, so it should be in meter. 5 times 1 over 100. Okay, this should be in meter, not in cm. Okay, so what's the acceleration? Can you compute? What's the acceleration? Pa-check ako ah. Tama ba yung sagot ko? 4 times 10 raised to 12 meters per second square. Pa-verify na lang. Baka mali yung computation ko. Okay? Tama ba? Mali. Tama? Mali. Okay. So yan ang ating acceleration. Ayan. Okay. Next. Di pa yung tapos. So, i-apply na natin yan sa ating formula. So, therefore, the force is equal to 9.11 times 10 raised to negative 31 times 4 times 10 raised to 12. So, what's our force? Okay, it is 3.644 times 10 raised to negative 18 newtons. Ayan. Okay, 3.644 times 10 raised to negative 18 newtons. Okay, so let's finish the... Ayan. So, i-compare daw natin yan sa gravitational force which we ignored. Okay, di ba ang second law is force is equal to ma. Kaya dyan na nagaling yung weight is equal to mg. Okay? So, kung kunin natin ng weight daw, so weight is equal to, the mass is 9.11 times 10 raised to negative 31 times 9.8. So, what's the weight? So, this one is letter B. 9.11 exponent 31 times 9.8. So, it is 8.927 9278 times 10 raised to negative 30 newtons. Ayan. So, ang sabi dito is, we compare this force with the weight of the electron, which we ignored. So, how will we compare it? So, imagine nyo, ang sobrang layo ng difference nila. Layo ng difference. Tama ba? Okay? Because this one is just negative 18. This one is negative 30. Di ba masyado ng maliit? sobrang liit na ng force na yon. So, it's close to negligible. Negligibility. Ayan. So, if you will compare them, masyado nang malayo yung weight. Masyadong maliit yung weight compared dun sa force exerted on the electron, which is only at negative 18. So, this one is a negative 30. So, masyado na siyang maliit. Okay? Okay, do you have any question? Ayan. So, para mag-practice kayo, so ito yung inyong assignment. Okay. Ay, number 5. Ay, hindi, sorry. Hindi number 5. Sinulatan ko pala, number 4. Aro. Hindi na siya nababasa. Ito na lang. Ayan. Okay, so that will be your, as you submit that next meeting. And then we'll continue on these examples next meeting. But we will be discussing third law first before we proceed to some examples. Kailangan nating pag-aralan talaga yung third law. Kasi sa third law, examples ng third law ay applyin pa rin natin na siya ng second law. Or parang third law, parang second law, dinagdagan lang natin siya ng mga sinabi sa third law. Something like that. Okay, so